If you're finding video editing frustrating, and like some of you have been saying, it's a nightmare, stick around because I've got a whole bunch of pro tips that I've learned over the years. First off is get yourself, and you're going to have to spend some money on this one, a UHS 2 card reader and a UHS 2 SD card. Now, regardless of your camera, every camera I would reckon that takes an SD card will take a UHS 2 card, and basically what these are super fast cards, super fast SD card readers when they're plugged in via USB 3. That's it. So when you're getting your footage off your camera and your SD card, plop it into the reader and boom, it is super fast. So that's definitely going to be something that's going to stop you sitting around waiting forever for your footage to transfer over. The more organized you are when it comes to editing, the better, because it's going to be less of a headache once you know where everything is. So how do you do that? First off, you can rename in a lot of cameras the actual file structure. So for me, this has been shot in a Sony FX3, and all the files that come out of this camera, because I've renamed it to FX3 underscore blah blah blah, whatever that might be. So I can easily see what camera it's been shot on if you're shooting in more than one camera. But that aside, if and when you get into the editing software, and this isn't just specific to Premiere Pro, but this is specific to any half-decent editing software worth its salt, you can create folders, or as they're known in the biz, bins. So you could create, for example, in this particular video, I've got a talking headshot. So I'm going to have my talking headshot in one particular bin or folder. If I've got any B-roll, I'm going to have the B-roll in another bin or folder. And audio and anything else that I've got coming in, it could be stills, it could be whatever. So when it comes to me going, I need some B-roll, I know exactly where to go, as opposed to scrolling through possibly hundreds of different files. I know there's a bin or a folder for everything that's specific. When it comes to shooting your actual video, here's what you need to do. Don't just shoot everything. Don't just go, I'm going to shoot there, I'm going to shoot there, I'm going to shoot there, and hope for the best. Shoot enough of what you need. In other words, shoot for the edit. Michael Bay, for example, is one of the big Hollywood directors that shoots for the edit. That's going to help you hugely work through all your footage, because you're not going to have hundreds of files going, maybe I'll take that one, I'll take that one, and I'll take... Shooting for the edit, though, cannot happen without probably the most important thing when it comes to editing and shooting video. Yeah, you need a plan. Write stuff down. Now, I know it mightn't be for everybody. You might be like, I'm gonna run it and gun it and wing it, man. I'm just gonna be... Just write something down. At least have it in your head, scratch it into your phone. Just have a rough shot. Let's go, okay, I need a wide shot of this, I need a narrow shot, maybe I need a time lapse, and that's it. So keep it down, and then your shoot and whatever you're making is that little bit more organized. Now, I've got a good tip for those of you who like to do nothing but talking head videos. And that is, shoot your talking head video, edit it, and then pick out the particular points and make a marker or make a note of the time that you need some B-roll. And either you have it shot or you can go and shoot it. But either way, it all helps bring the plan together. And we know we all love it when a plan comes. I'm not doing any more cheesy lines. Together. When you've got your footage into your software, you're going to be creating a timeline of some form. So there's two ways you can approach this, and depending on how you like to work, you can do it either by dumping all the footage onto the timeline and then just go snip, 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 cutting out what you don't need. Or then maybe, and I find to do this when something is required to be a little bit more specific, you can use in and out points somewhere else and then drop that in. Ultimately, they're doing the same thing, but I find for talking head videos, you can really slice through them super quick. And stick around for the next few minutes, because I've got an epic tip that's going to make talking head videos even easier to edit. I'm not going to make you wait. Right, so surprise! When it comes to talking head video, and we're all talking in videos, start with that. Drop it all onto the timeline, and once you see the audio waveform, once you see nothing, no more squiggly lines, then that means that there's dead air. Dead air ain't good. Even if it's some poignant, your audience are, they're gone. So that's to edit that talking head footage, just to get it sliced up and ready to go. And then once it is ready to go, here's the really important thing. Once you've got that first cut done, you gotta watch it back and see how it feels. Does it feel slow? Are you saying the same thing in minute 4 that you said in minute 1, but you've said it a slightly different way? Cut that out. So make notes, add a marker onto the actual timeline of your software so you can go there, you can add a note to that, or just write timestamps, do whatever you have. And once you get all these notes together, go back and make the changes, and then watch it back again. What freaky. Just watch the whole thing back again and then see how does it feel. And then if you need to make more notes and so on and so forth, just keep doing that until you get something that's really concise, really valuable, really entertaining, and to the point. Speaking of to the point, what if it's not just a talking head thing? What if it's a vlog? Do you need 20 different angles of the same thing? No, you don't. You might need a wide shot and a time lapse, or you might need a narrow shot and a time lapse, or you might need no time lapse, you might need a drone shot and a narrow shot. Either way, 20 different angles of the same thing isn't really gonna take your audience's pants off. It ain't gonna happen. Because the goal here is to make it entertaining, and the footage, the B-roll or whatever, all those drone shots, they're to add to the story and keep things chugging along. If they get too jarring, if they get too boring, your audience is like going, and they're gone. And then you've wasted all your time fumbling around in the dark. No pants off. All the footage you've shot, you've got it in, you've got it organized, you've got it out in the timeline, but your computer might be a little bit old and everything is a bit sluggish and old and dreary and it's dragging around and takes forever to do. Well, there's a thing in nearly every piece of video editing software on laptops and desktops called proxies. And essentially what a proxy is a low resolution version of the file that you've created. So your big epic 4K monster can go down to like something like a 720p file. And the idea behind that is no matter the age of the computer, a proxy file is super easy to edit and you can scrub around and it's smooth as butter. Honestly, it's the way to go if you're getting any grief from a video clip. You know what else you need is keyboard shortcuts. You need to figure out whatever software you're using, keyboard shortcuts. They're easy. And you know what? Once you learn J, K, and L, which is the default for going forwards and backwards and stopping in nearly every piece of video editing software, once you do that, then life is going to be so much easier. So figure out the things that you're doing a lot with the mouse and click, click, click. And just find out what the keyboard shortcut is for it and just go from there. And I promise you, if you learn just a few keyboard shortcuts within a couple of days of doing it, you are going to be blistering through all of that footage. So keyboard shortcuts for the win. Before you press render and publish on the video, once it's all said and done, there is something, my friends, that you really have to do. And that's watch the whole thing back. Now it happens to the best of us. We watch it back, we might miss something, we press publish, and then people are giving us abuse in the comments. That's okay now and again. But for the best part, once you're finished all that hard work, just watch it back. I mean, this is your work. This is whatever vision you brought to life. It don't matter what it was. This is where you had the idea, you put in the visuals, the audio, everything. You got it all in there, and you're just willing to just toss it up without rewatching your masterpiece? Rewatch it, and then press render. By the way, when you do press render, make sure you're rendering the right settings. If you're uploading to YouTube, render it out in 4K regardless of what it was shot, because YouTube just makes stuff in 4K look that little bit better. And if it's vertical video, make sure it's vertical that you're formatting the whole sequence for and all that jazz. Just double check the render settings. It doesn't take that long and it'll save you going back and doing it all again. All right. Here's a couple of hard-hitting truths that, well, you might like to do it, but you're probably bad at it. Nobody's telling you that you're bad at it. So there's a couple of things that I want you to forget about when it comes to editing your videos. Forget about color grading. That's right up the top. Yeah, you want your footage to look cool, but you know what? It looks pretty cool out of the camera. Ultimately, do your audience really, and I mean, you got to think about this, really care about, oh, look at that orange and teal color grade, man. It's just like Michael Bay. It's amazing. Whoa. If they don't, and chances are none of them do anyway, do not waste your time on color grading. Let's say you would spend an hour color grading a couple of clips. Would that hour not be better spent trying to get a better story out of the edit and a better structure and dumping all the crap that's not needed? Or would you prefer, I want to spend an hour on color grading. Everybody loves my color grades. No, they don't. So that's the thing that you absolutely should forget about. Now, the one thing that you can never forget about when it comes to editing is the audience. I don't want to make this sound like a cliche story, but you have to think about your audience. What are they getting out of it? Is it too slow? Are they going to go? Are you giving them every single opportunity to deliver what you've set out to deliver? Are you putting both of your best feet forward? Or are you leaving one leg behind you going, hey, whatever. I'm orange and teal color grade, man. So you got to think about that one. And then that all comes down again to watching the footage back. And look at your analytics, because when you look at your analytics over time, you're going to see patterns. And those patterns are going to tell you, if you're on YouTube, do not say orange and teal halfway through a video, because that's where the retention drops off. Just look at where things are dropping drastically. You could swear, you could have no hat on, you could have whatever. And just look at that and try and make the next video without that fall off a cliff side thing from the analytics. But above all of that stuff, the only thing I could ask people to do when editing, and this loops back around to what I said at the start. I've got no time. Yeah, you're going to have to make the time, unfortunately. Editing isn't a skill that you're just going to pick up and be making masterpieces after day one of opening your video editing software. The only way that you get good at editing is, unfortunately for some of you, is putting in the time. And if that's time that you don't have, then you gotta quit whining and going, I don't have the time, my videos suck. This is why they suck, because you don't give it the time. So ultimately, if you've made it this far in the video, you're quite serious about making some time. I've been editing videos for quite a long time. I'm far from the perfect editor, but I've learned a lot. And all of this knowledge that I've brought to you is going to speed up your process, because I've had to learn this through trial and error, year after year, week after week, thousands of videos, both professionally and kind of on YouTube. Take everything I've said here, apply it to the way you work, and knock it right out of the park. I'm fine.